NCS Tech Talks podcast, your hub for all things tech and innovation. Get ready to discover the upcoming technologies shaping the future of businesses.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Howie. I'm the managing partner for NCS looking after corporate development and partnerships. Today, we're very excited to have Andy Sim, who is the VP and Managing Director at Dell Technologies, to join us to touch on this very exciting and yet difficult topic on sustainability and the role that perhaps technology can play in this whole emerging area that we're all concerned about. Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Besides your work in Dell, Andy is also a very respected and well-known leader in the IT industry. Perhaps, Andy, as a start, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what people might not normally find that's not on your LinkedIn?
Thank you, for this opportunity. My day job is to run the business operation here in Singapore for Dell. And my ECA is quite a few. I volunteer my time with SG Tech. I'm the first vice chairman in the federation. I also volunteer my time with the National Environment Agency. I sit in the advisory council working on sustainability. I chair the IT standard committee here in Singapore for the Green chapter. And you can see that all these are, in a way, related to what I'm doing and also pave the way, and a better future, for our future generations. Now, why am I excited about all these things? Fun fact, I like to tell people, I'm not bad for an Hougang boy. And if anybody knows where Hougang is, I grew up amongst coconut trees and sandy grounds. And that's really not an elaboration. And to think that, growing up in the 70s in that environment, multinational, multiracial, it's really something that you never dream of. But it's an opportunity that was given to us. Largely, the fact that we've got very good government, we've got good education. So that really ties things together. And the next phase for us is really, how do we set up properly for our future generation? And I believe that technology can play a part. Sustainability is really where we really have to focus on, judging from the fact that it's getting hotter these days. So the climate change is real, we can feel it, but all of us can do a part.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And two things that I take away is that one is that besides your day job, it looks like a lot of your side hustles are also related to the sustainability area, which is awesome. And hopefully, we can continue to tap on not just your day job, but also the things that you do on the volunteer side in this agenda. So maybe we'll jump straight in and maybe get your thoughts, Andy, in that the transition of why to how. Your thoughts, because there seems to be a lot of conversation around why sustainability is important, and there seems to be also growing conversations around how to actually put the top into actions. But maybe get your open commentary on this transition and where we are on the whys versus the hows.
Very good question. We have to be educated. We have to know the impact is happening with the way we work, the way we live, and that's important because we're going to make choices on why our daily lives are such. Now, if you compare us with, say, the Japanese, they have got a very orderly way of going about their lives. The way they sort out the rubbish and all that, and you can really see that that's in their culture. So we have to be educated and be aware so that we can change our way of life. And then we got to change our mindset and change our behavior. And when you want to do that, then you got to look at it. What's the best way of doing sustainability? How do we change our habits? I like to bring out one example. The simplest thing that we dispose of is actually batteries. And you tend to just throw it in the dustbin. But that's no good, right? Because the batteries go to the incinerator and it causes sparks and all that. So actually, you can also recover materials from the batteries. But why don't we throw it in battery collector? Well, it's not easy to find one. But some of us are aware that if you go to certain departmental stores or certain retail stores or even some supermarkets, you can see white bins that collects batteries and bulbs and some electronics even. Now okay, I can actually safely dispose my batteries. But still, that won't change your behavior because you just know where you can dump the batteries responsibly. You have to now have a process. And what I've done is that I keep 2 bags of batteries. I have a bag of new batteries, and attached to it, I have either an empty bag or a bag of used batteries. In so doing, it allows me to change the battery, and the moment I change the battery, I would dump the used battery in the used battery bag. It's a very simple behavior change, but that forces me to collect the used batteries. When once it's full, I'll bring it to cold storage and dispose it in a white bin. And that's just a small little things that we can tweak to improve our lives. And once we're used to it, we will reach the stage of what the Japanese have in their own household. They've got a bin for glass, a bin for rubbish, and a bin for refuse, right? So we can do that. And once you do that, we can then extend that to electronic, which is probably one of the most important things, that we can do being in the tech industry. Because e-waste collection is less than 20%. So there's 80% of things that we can collect. So yeah, that's something simple thing that we can do, but it makes a huge impact.
Thanks for that, Andy. I mean, what I extracted from it is that to facilitate awareness into action and from action into habit, it's important that the awareness is then supported by potentially processes, by infrastructure. So whether it's blue bins, whether it's bags, whether it's use cases, these in my mind would be examples of what you talked about as processes and infrastructure that hopefully then leads to action, and then the action over time will become habit. And that creates a very nice cycle of action. So thanks for sharing that, because I think we do agree that we're all trying to figure out the hows in all little ways, from e-waste to batteries to everything else. How do we actually start contributing collectively to the sustainability agenda? So maybe if I can touch a bit on your earlier point about how tech can play a role in terms of improving sustainability, would you be able to share with us your thoughts on the ways tech could play a part in reducing, let's say, a carbon footprint, whether it is data center, whether it is buildings, and maybe some of the areas that Dell is working on?
Well, the earlier comments I've made, us as individual, what we can do on sustainability. Now, on the business side or the commercial side, I'll break it into two, right? One is business as a whole, and two, how technology can play a big part. Firstly, for business leaders, we really got to think about how to build the business model. So in our business endeavor, if we don't have a business model to encourage sustainability, it will not take place, because it's got to make sense. So my encouragement for all business leaders is to start thinking about circular economy. With that, it starts with the business model. Once you have the business model, you can then start looking at all the different aspects. The first one is to look at design. The design of your product. How can you harvest the material, right, for recycle or for reuse? The next one is to start thinking about sustainable materials. Given the design of your product, the manufacture of product, how can you use more sustainable materials? And then the last bit is about, the whole recycle activity. Do you have a asset recovery capability? Do you do repair? Do you do refurbish? Do you make it more durable and all that? So we really got to start thinking about design and designing our products for the circular economy. On the tech part, we can certainly do a lot, because in technology, we help with innovation. So what kind of materials you use technology to analyze data, the materials and all that, and find out what's the best way, right, to get the right material. And using technology and data, you can start collecting information. How much can you collect? How much have you collected? And how much will you collect in the future? You use data to collect all this information so that you can make a very well set up decisions. And then with technology, you can encourage more people to join you, because with technology, it actually creates an ecosystem. So it's not only about us, but really about how do we bring everybody into the fold. So at Dell, what do we do, right? The easiest thing is to look at packaging. Can we reduce the amount of materials used in packaging? Yes. We do away with all the styrofoam to begin with. We use a folding capability like an origami to hold and secure the product. So that reduces the amount of materials. Then we look at reusable material, recycled material. So our plastics that we use, right, to wrap our products are recyclable plastics. Paper that we use are recyclable paper. That's the second thing. The third one that we've done very recently is that can we have multi-packs? So if a customer wants to buy 5 or 10 or 20 PCs from us, can we pack them in that quantity? So we reduce the number of packages required to ship the product. So this is on packaging. Then on the product itself, We look at design so that it is more energy efficient. We look at the materials that we use. Are they recyclable or renewable materials? And then you can tell a company, right, how far they've gone in sustainability journey by looking at, are they doing recyclable activities on the smallest part of the product? So I'm glad to say that at Dell, apart from all the effort we've done on our product, even our power adapter, 95% of the plastics are recyclable plastics, and 50% of the copper we use in the power adapter is recyclable. So we've done a lot throughout the years. And in fact, the journey started in 2014, almost 10 years ago, right? And back then, we really look at selected products, we look at laptop bases, we look at lids, and we get into the packaging. Right now, we're looking at hard disk. How can we recover the aluminum in hard disk? We look at bags. We look at the material we use for our notebooks. Are they bioplastics that we can use? So we look at that, and there's going to be more and more advancements. One of the very interesting projects that we have is called Project Luna. And what is it? It's really looking at how can we modularize our product, right? How do we modularize the notebook so that we don't have to buy the whole product? Just think about notebook. Every time you buy a notebook, we have to manufacture new keyboards. We have to manufacture new monitors, right? New screens. But actually what you want is a processing power. So in the future, can you just buy the processing power? You don't have to buy the keyboard. Everything is modular that you can just fix it on your own. So that is a project that we have. We're also looking at reducing the number of screws that we can use to secure our products. Can we just clip on and clip it off? So these are interesting innovation that we've put in place for the company. It is not groundbreaking technology, but these are the things that's going to make a big difference in the future.
Well, thanks, Andy. I think Dell is definitely a pioneer in this space because not many companies have started the journey in 2014. And I do agree with you that if you're able to embed sustainability into the business model, then, pardon the pun, then it is sustainable, as opposed to creating ad hoc projects just to be able to meet regulatory standards or reporting requirements. So the need to be able to build it into the business model, whether in your case or Dell, making sure that it is part of your entire supply chain, including from materials all the way to packaging, to delivery, to even product design. I think the part you mentioned regarding using technology to give you better insights so that you're able to drive better optimization, we're seeing it quite a fair bit as well. I think on NCS side, we do work with a number of clients to use a combination of not just IT data, but also OT data, so that you have better insights, so that you are able to optimize your supply chain, or as simple as optimizing your fleet routes, to optimize your resource allocation from packaging to check-in counters, to optimize maybe even the waiting time between the transfers of documents, because every optimization as a result of data also leads to it. But it's very impressive. I look forward to Project Luna, because you're absolutely right. Every time we change a laptop, the keyboard is still great, the adapters are still great, many parts are still great, and perhaps what we're looking for is just bigger hard disk, better processors. So I think that's really a Dell leading by example. Maybe if I switch here a little bit, because not every company has embarked as deep as what Dell has on the sustainability journey, and many would still be thinking about the how of doing it. Would you be able to share some thoughts regarding potentially what are the areas of concern that business leaders might have as they start embarking on this journey, and what you guys have learned as possible ways of going around it?
Yeah, so I call it the paradox of sustainability, because there is a cost premium to be paid at this moment until we get into a critical mass. But if you don't do anything, or if you're not willing to pay more, then how can we cross the line? And hence, for the bigger companies, we should really show the leadership. And it starts with a goal. At Dell, we have a goal that by 2030, that for every product that we manufacture, one will be made of recyclable or renewable material. So it starts with that goal, right? And that really pushes us to change our manufacturing, our supply chain. And it also forces us to go and collect the used products as new materials for us. It starts with that goal. Now, the second thing is to encourage us to do it. And internally within Dell, every year we would run a campaign as a reminder for people to bring their products back, and we collect those sustainable materials. Now, if we can refurbish it we would do it and then we would donate to the needies or charity of choice. Otherwise, we would recycle them. And I'm glad to say that last year alone, we have collected 0.5 tons of electronic waste. So that's a good start. The second how is to educate. So we made it a point that every time we engage with a customer in any conversations, and especially in a presentation, we will talk about sustainability. We have to educate people about the effects of sustainability and what we can do in sustainability. Then the third one is to now encourage our business partners to join us or our customers to join us. So we join hands with our customers in CSR activities, either it is related to electronics or not, as long as it is an effort. So we actually join our customers to plant trees, for example, and then we advertise it, we speak about it, and we share with our customers. We join hands with our customers and our channel partners to partake in this journey, and then we spread the word around. So that's very, very important. So that's one piece, right? The other how is to announce the result. So every year we have a ESG report that announces what we have done and how much we have done in the sustainability effort. How much carbon footprint have we reduced? And we base everything on standard reports, whether it's an EPEAT or Energy Star reporting, we do according to the standards or the global standards. So this is important, right? Because we track and we measure what we do. And these are the hows. I would encourage you to share with your friends as well to do this.
And that's very easy to remember. It's setting a goal, educating, and then building the ecosystem of partners and clients, and then making sure that you announce the results because you hold yourself accountable to the targets and the goals that you have. I think it's easy to remember, and I'm hopeful that this will be useful for the listeners as well as they think about for the organization. Maybe Andy, if I can get you to double click a little bit on the paradox of sustainability, because you're absolutely right. We do hear from many different stakeholders that to be sustainable, there is incremental costs in the short term, while the results may come in the midterm and the longer term. So how do you balance the paradox of sustainability? Because it is a paradox of profitability as well as sustainability.
I think for the larger companies, we've got the economy of scale. So, the impact may not be that big. But if you were a smaller company, you may be challenged. So this is what I would suggest. For the larger companies, we have to guide and help the smaller companies in this journey. We can aggregate costs so that it costs less. And then we really have to put a lot of effort to push the use of sustainable materials, because then that will drive the price down, so that all of us can benefit. So that's one. The other thing that I've observed is that the younger generation, especially the Generation Z, are willing to pay a premium. They are. They look at sustainable material. They don't mind paying a bit more for that because they know they are doing it for the future. I also realize that the younger generation, when they join a company, they do ask questions. What are your sustainable efforts within a company? What are you doing in this? How are you supporting this movement? And I'm glad to hear that, because the future generations are really thinking about how can they sustain their lifestyle for themselves and for the future. And that is something that's so good, right?
Yeah. No, indeed, it's very encouraging because I think there are customers that is supporting the agenda with the wallet. There would also be young talents and that is choosing companies based on the sustainability advancement and agenda. And I think it augurs well for the future. I was just reflecting because NCS and Dell, we've been partners for many years and we provide solutions for our clients. And as a technology services provider for us, increasingly we're getting clients who ask us to say, help me design something that is more carbon friendly. And that's where being able to work with partners like Dell allows us collectively to be able to put something that would be able to help the clients as well, because all of us have our scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3 to consider. And the clients would also have considerations of cost affordability as well as fit for purpose of the solution. So I guess it is a journey because it is partly education, it's partly the commitment to the agenda, and then being able to balance each of these pieces together. Andy, maybe if I could get your thoughts a little bit as well, based on what you're seeing in the industry, what are the key areas that the industry is generally looking at or sectors are looking at? Because there is quite a fair bit of interest in reporting, but beyond reporting, what else are you seeing that is generally of interest by clients in the market?
Today, there's a whole explosion, for data-driven decisions. The buzzword right now is generative AI. Now, in order to do that, you need a lot of data. And where do you store the data? You need some form of storage. You need to capture information, whether it's in your phone or in huge storage or be it in the cloud. So you start collecting data, and with that, you make decisions. I mean, a company like NCS and Dell, we look at structuring and designing a platform for the customer in the digital journey, in a digital transformation journey. So they really got to start thinking about how can they improve the data collection. And then with that, you get the information, and then with that, you move into generative AI. And decisions, for whether is it for business or for education, this becomes a very, very important part for all of us. And it's going to change the way our work is going to be. And some jobs may disappear, but some jobs is going to appear because of this. So, we got to really start thinking about things differently, from now onwards.
Hey, Andy, maybe if I switch gear a little bit to peer into the future, because the waves of sustainability is coming to us all fast and furious. As you peer into the future, what are your thoughts as to the next wave? Pardon the pun again, as to what we should be worried about and what we should be getting prepared for. Obviously, Gen AI and data is one, but then are there other areas from a sustainability perspective that all of us should be concerned about, or whether it's from a threat or opportunity standpoint?
Actually, very excited about the future, because I know technology is going to help us to improve our lives. And if you turn back the clock about 100 years ago, how much time does a person spend on washing their clothes? Generally speaking, they spend about 6 to 7 hours a day washing and ironing and all that. Then came washing machine, right? Today, if you think about it, it takes 6 to 7 hours just to wash and all. It's really, so look at that. That's how technology can change our life. But that was sort of a simple technology, but back then it is, very, very innovative. It was an invention. So with that, the current wave of new inventions is going to come in front of us, and technology can play that part. Now, we've got to make sure that whatever we do moving forward, right, whatever we invent, we're going to create a sustainable world, right? We don't create more problems, and more problems for future generations to deal with them, right? So think about it. When we created plastic was fantastic. Before we had plastic containers, it was steel containers, right? You had to create a lot of tins and steel. Then we created plastic container, which is very fast because we just use injection molding and all that. It's really, really fast. You can keep your food fresh, you can zip it up, and keep your food fresh for a long time. But right now we're saying that, plastic was so good and it served us so well, for the last 60 years or so. Right now it's bad. So you don't create problems for the future. What we have to do is, as we invent and create new innovative products, think about the impact that we will have on the future. And I believe that with technology, you can do simulation, and that's going to make a huge difference. You can really anticipate what will happen in the future. And that's what technology can do. So if you look at the larger scale, if you think about building a smart, sustainable city, you can actually use technology to create what we call a digital twin. You can create a simulation, right? What if, scenario planning and all that, before you actually embark on anything. I'm very optimistic about the future because I think we will sort things out. But we have to be mindful. We just got to be very mindful as we create new products.
So maybe just a segue. What is a technology that excites you the most, has the best potential for us as we move forward?
Right now, I think the autonomous car is going to be the most exciting thing for me. Why? Because you certainly will be a lot more efficient, right, in terms of transportation. And also, it is a technology that really pushes the whole compute, right, to the edge. I mean, lack of a better description, the autonomous car is literally, a moving computer. It's capturing a lot of information, making a lot of decisions. But once we have that, it becomes a 24/7 transportation. Not everybody needs to buy a car because you can actually ride, on a very convenient transportation. Unlike, today, when for bus, you're going to look at the time for the bus. For the train, you're going to fit the time for the train. But autonomous vehicle is on-demand transportation. And you can look at all the energy saving capability and possibilities. So I'm very excited about the autonomous car.
Right, and it's a good example of what you've been sharing regarding the different ways to think about different ways of doing things. Because sometimes it's not just about using technology to do it the same old way, but to use technology to do things in a different way. Because I agree with you. I can imagine now the autonomous vehicles, the Internet of Cars will change completely the way we think about commute, the way we think about even delivery and everything else. And hopefully it will change the COE prices as well for those who are based in Singapore. But Andy, thanks so much for sharing. As we wrap up the call, is there a wish that you would like, or a piece of advice or an encouragement that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I wish every one of us are more mindful about our own daily activities, right, towards advancing sustainability. When you have this in mind, you will really build a better future for generations to come. So that's my wish for all of us.
Well, Andy, that was very apt because you started the call sharing your battery example on the actions you take to move your awareness to action into habit, using the battery as an example. And you're absolutely right. The need is upon us, and it is action by every individual, every company. And clearly, Dell has been leading the way since 2014 to make sure that it's embedded in your business model. And we do hope that more companies embed sustainability within their business model, despite the paradox of sustainability and cost, and to use technology, whether it's digital twins, data enablement, AI, optimization, to think of different ways that technology can actually make a difference in the way we actually deliver the same type of capabilities we do today. So I think it's enriching, and it does sound like the journey has only started. It does sound like technology, and perhaps you and I are biased because we're both in technology, that technology will play a part in helping transform the way we live, we work, and we play in a more sustainable future. So thank you so much again, Andy, for your sharing, and we do hope that at some stage we'll continue this conversation on new ways technology can make a difference. And thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. Hopefully it's been useful. This is a journey that I think all of us are on. We do believe that technology can play a part, and we look forward to hosting you on other podcasts that we have on this series. Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Tech Thoughts. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our podcast channel so you never miss out on the latest and greatest insights from industry leaders and experts. We look forward to welcoming you back for our next episode. Till then, stay inspired and keep innovating.